Well, Brittany, thank you so much for taking your time to, help me with this project. Can you say a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Brittany. I am a business account executive. I work for T-Mobile. I live in Austin, Texas, soon home to Elon Musk's new Tesla manufacturing facility, which is exciting. My son's bedroom is decorated in Elon Musk and SpaceX gear, so you got the right gal. I actually spend most of my time riding bikes, kayaking. I'm sitting in my toy hauler right now because it is my office during quarantine, and that's probably the most interesting information about me.
Wow, that's awesome. So, how old is your son?
He is going to be 8 soon.
Okay, and he's uh, like follows SpaceX and Tesla and all that, or what specifically is his interest?
Sure. So he really likes building things. So I guess it's kind of partially my fault. I've gotten him building things like the Smithsonian has little engine models that you can purchase, and he's very good at following instructions mechanically. We're doing homework right now. Keep doing your homework. He's sitting across from me. Which so well, his main thing that he really enjoys doing is working with his hands. So I've kind of got him working on that a lot from a pretty young age, as far as Legos and whatever other build-it-yourself kits we could find. So his room is decked out and stuff that he's made, as well as like some of the posters, the Art Deco style that has been put out from Elon Musk's SpaceX ventures, and he loves like the stars and galaxies. He's got a big poster that breaks down like all of the different black holes versus. It's actually really technical, and I'm not that good. But he makes me read off that to him all the time, and yeah, he's got a big interest in it, and interesting topic.
And you have a bit of an exploration a slant to you too, in terms of like your kayaking and hiking and all the things that you do.
I get out into the world. Yeah, I like to adventure.
Um, and so I guess like what's the farthest you would consider going? Would you like, for example, take a trip to space if you could, if it was safe and affordable?
So no, I don't think so. Um, Safe is something that only time would really tell, in my opinion. Um, I would not be a pioneer of the experience. Just, I mean, to be honest, like I like my life. I'm very curious and I'm excited to see what happens, but I'm going to leave that to the more adventurous people out there than not myself.
But what about a suborbital flight that might take, 15 minutes to like an hour? You go above the Earth's atmosphere, you see the curvature of the Earth, but no. Uh,
There's so much that goes into that, as far as pressure change and takeoff and like everything. That, I mean, it's not being in space that's scary to me. It's actually the process of getting there and getting back. So I mean, I think we've made incredible ground, and it's exciting, but I'm going to keep my feet planted on Earth for a while for sure.
how do you feel about commercial airline travel?
I used to fly every other weekend. As a kid, actually, I would visit my family. My parents were divorced, so I would go between Georgia and Texas very, very often.
Um, yeah, I have a similar type experience, except it's between like Orangefield and Houston, so it's like a 2 hour car
Hmm.
trip as opposed to flying. Um, so if space travel was as routine as commercial airline travel, would that affect your views on it at all?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, if people were flying, if we had enough flights going in and out where, we could put a statistic to flying to space versus the safety of driving in a car, the way people like to draw a comparison for flying commercial versus driving down the highway, then I'm, yeah, then there's the proof in the pudding that I'd be waiting to see. But until we get to the point, like I said, I mad respect for the people who are going to be more adventurous than myself and go hop on a spaceship and fly out to Mars next month if they could. But I'm not there.
Because Elon Musk and SpaceX, they're working on this completely reusable spacecraft called Starship that they're
Mm-hmm.
actually planning to use for point-to-point Earth travel. So you could get from Houston to Shanghai in like 40 minutes. And it would be about the same price as a equivalent first class airline ticket. I mean, would that
Mm-hmm.
be like something, assuming it was in routine operation, you'd be like, yeah, sign me up, or you're like still, nah, not quite.
When something becomes a routine and it's a proven concept, probably of any kind that involves taking my body in another vessel, I would want it to be routine, and I would want it to be proven before I'm just saying I'm not the guinea pig that they probably need to be able to make ground, because I know that's a necessary part of exploration and invention and doing things that we've never done before. Somebody's got to do it first. I am someone who is open to change, and I'm open to seeing new things come out and participating, but again, just not the pioneer of it.
I understand. Yeah, I would not like to be in those first early airplanes either. The
Yeah,
proven.
no,
Yeah,
with good reason, right? Looking back, we're like, oh yeah, they needed work.
exactly.
So
Um, so
yeah, I mean, it's an exciting time, and I think that a lot is going to happen for during me and during my son's time on the earth, that we'll get to see some cool things that generations before us never thought was possible, and probably people who are alive today probably don't think are possible. Elon's brilliant, so I hope his little mini Elons are smart enough to pick up where he leaves off. But we definitely are. He's doing some cool stuff, even just if like the tunnels under LA and just other little things that he's done, and the micro cells for solar energy in communities, and I mean the power that he's been able to bring to a battery. I mean, all of it is really like he's our Einstein, if not like kind of better. Definitely changing the world as much, I guess. But yeah, I'm excited to see what happens. I think I'll get to. I'll be disappointed if I don't get to.
now, do you think it'll become routine space travel, or you think it'll like going to be a fringe, one-off activity, pretty much for the foreseeable future?
No, I could see it being like, hey guys, you want to take a vacation to Hawaii, or hey guys, you want to take a vacation to space? Like, people go and visit the igloo hotels and whatever, and we go scuba diving. It's just like visiting. It's that hype and that human nature to experience something that feels like a new world. So if it becomes possible, I have no doubt that people will do it for sure. Yeah, I think so.
And uh, when did you find out that we were planning to go back to the moon in 2024?
Um, I what do you actually, I don't know. I don't going back to the moon in 2024.
Like just now would be
I
the
didn't know there was a set date. Yeah, I guess right now that's the right answer. I didn't know there was a set date to it yet.
yeah. So February of 2019, there was a meeting of the National Space Council, and at that time, it was announced that the policy of the U.S. would be to put um, the first woman and the next man on the moon by 2024. And so they've been kind of marching to that. And but you're not alone, because I've interviewed about 260 different people, and out of them only about
Uh-huh.
50 of them knew. So uh, uh,
Wow.
yeah, it's kind of interesting. I mean, I think NASA's had so many plans that hasn't come to fruition. There's sort of dream fatigue, where people are like, I just when you get there, let me know.
Yeah.
So
Well, that'll be awesome. And hopefully take away all of the conspiracy of whether Neil Armstrong actually set foot on the moon.
I know. I've had some interviews where like that won't be the next time. That'll be the first time. So that's been kind of interesting. So kind of,
Yeah.
and it all
Yeah.
comes down to whenever I probe them about it, it's about the quality of the video. Uh, so this time it'd be in 4K. So hopefully that's a little better.
Yeah. Well, they're gonna be like, well, AI's gotten so much better, and special effects.
Well, and have you seen that Apple TV series called For All Mankind?
Mm-mm.
It's like a historical revision drama where like the Soviets beat the US to the moon, and then what follows on after that. And it's like
Mm.
takes real scenes and I mean it's very easy to watch that and get a completely confused picture of history. So it's kind of funny.
For all mankind.
For
I'm
all
gonna add
mankind.
it to my watch list. All right. Is it only available on Apple TV?
Unfortunately, yeah, that's the sole reason I have an Apple TV subscription.
That's funny. So what makes you so passionate about this? I can tell. I mean, you've interviewed so many people. What's your project? What are you working on?
Yeah. So basically, the irony of this project is it started out as an anti-social distancing project because I work from home for like the past 2 years. And last December, there was like this NASA administrator. He was counting down the days to the end of 2024 and like highlighting an NASA employee as being like, the key contributor to highlight for that day. And I was like, hey, what if I just like ask everyday people like at the coffee shop and what have you, what they think. And so that's how it got started. Um, and so I'm like literally, I'm committed to an interview a day to the end of 2024. So uh, I wish I had really thought through what that really entailed before I got started, but I think I'm too far into it now. Um,
Yeah, yeah. So your calendar was pretty booked. So you're just as long as you've got one person for that day, then that day is blocked off on your calendar, and you're good.
exactly. And I've started doing some at
Okay.
7. So I'm like, get out of the way at 7 and the rest of the day is like stress free. It's like
So what do you do? What do you do for Anaplan, if you don't mind me asking? Like, what's your actual job?
my
If this
actual
is a
job.
hobby.
Sure. So I work in their customer support group, and I work
Uh-huh.
on kind of projects to reduce the need for support and then to try to make support more efficient. So kind of like those one-off special projects.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Let's make sure there's one touch base and the problem's resolved. If we can resolve the problem before it presents itself, then that's even better.
exactly. And sometimes you just need to like kind of tie, what are you telling customers when they start their projects? What does the documentation say? Maybe sometimes just syncing up terminology across things can reduce the need for people to ask questions. Uh,
Hmm.
or, so that's kind of it.
Yeah. That's been a big initiative with any support team that I've worked with across organizations. So it's a tough job, and the companies that are really good at it, it really shows. So I'm sure you got your hands full with that. It's nice to see people take a step away from the day-to-day grind and what can be a lot, and still have the balance of the things that really kind of ignite that fire for you and get you excited. So when you do these interviews, what are your essentially, are you creating a database? Are you polling our answers? Do you review the content afterwards? Like, what's your process for collecting this data?
Yeah, so I've been publishing the interviews mostly unedited on like countdowntothemoon.org. There's been a couple of times where people are like, hey, would you cut out the answer to that question? Um, Anyway, so there's been like maybe out of the 160 interviews, I've edited like 3 of them at special request. The goal is to make everybody feel comfortable. So I like publish interviews with just people's first name and the day, and then depending upon the context, might put some stuff in there. But I kind of
Yeah,
envision it as being a time capsule. So I don't think the audience for this exists today. I see the audience for this set of interviews being like the high schooler in like 2100 on the moon that's having to report for what were people thinking right before the new space age type of thing. That's kind of
my kid's kid,
yes,
my
exactly.
grandchild, for
Exactly.
sure. Yeah, they're like, that's my grandma, day 161.
Yes. That's
Yeah,
it.
hashtag if hashtags are around, at SpaceX early preliminary stages. Well, I don't know if we're preliminary anymore. Yeah, I guess we're. Um, well, that's awesome. I'm stoked to hear that I might be in a thing that is time capsuled for future years. Um, here, sorry. Um, well, I mean, if you have any other questions for me that I can answer for you, or
Um, yeah, I mean, just kind of whenever you think out like 500 years, humanity, what does it look like for you? I mean, like, are we still like just on the Earth making little side trips to places, or do you think we've really fundamentally learned how to be like a spacefaring civilization, and we have people living all over the solar system?
yeah. So I think that the way that we go about our day to day, what we consider normal. I mean, if coronavirus hasn't been enough of a call out to this, I mean, it can change with. I mean, it doesn't even have to be a spaceship that can take us to Mars. It could be, people kind of felt this way when we came out with the VR goggles. They're like, oh no, we're never gonna go into real meeting rooms anymore. We're gonna, like have like false lunch hours with each other. We're gonna, you know what I mean? People went a little crazy with it, but I mean, I think it's a good example of, I mean, maybe VR obviously wasn't it for us, but I do think that what we consider normal, it is so easy to change. And I think that COVID, if we could, pretend that COVID never happened, I think that would truly alter the way that the future of humanity is going to advance itself over the next just 100 years. I think that coronavirus has really kind of just fast tracked us to that. Like, companies are going to start operating differently. We've learned how much we don't really have to have in-person meetings. I was never a germaphobe before coronavirus, and now I swipe my credit card and I'm sanitizing 6 things. So it's like, that my mindset, which I'm a stubborn person. I'm kind of like, I'm open to trying new things, but the things that I found that I like, are the little ways that I am, the things that make me me. I don't consider those easy to change. And coronavirus and the way that we have changed the way we live now, I've changed a lot. So I guess the short answer to that is, I think it would take an intense, like, wait for the kid to leave my RV. I feel like I would have to be on a completely different, I feel like I would have to do drugs, like psychedelics, to comprehend how different things could be down the road, because it's like using my existing consciousness, the things that my physical senses have come in contact with now couldn't possibly prepare me for, to be such a forward thinker. I'm not an Elon Musk. I'm not anyone who's, I don't think that I can't plan a vacation for next year, so I can't possibly imagine what 100 years would throw our way, especially seeing how easily and quickly and drastically everything changes. So I hope we are running electrical plants differently. I hope we don't use so much water for cooling. I hope that efficiency in the way of you know, recycling. I mean, there are smaller problems than making it to Mars and like giving up on Earth that I think really I would love to see more attention called to. Hold on, I'm sorry. My bangs are driving me crazy here. You know, I would love it if Elon Musk would come up with a great way for us to recycle and it's efficient instead of shipping recyclables to China because they're willing to go through the detriment that it causes to their environment over there, but our environmental regulations here won't allow for it because it's too bad. And then, you know, water consumption, there's a lot of inefficiencies there, and I would like it if I didn't, I hate putting gas in my car, but that's like probably the lowest of the reasons that I wish my car didn't take gas. You know, I wish that, I know that there are more electric cars out there now that, you know, aren't as expensive as a Tesla. But even still, the way that those batteries in general, you know, disposing and the longevity, what we do with them when they're done, I think is going to be really important. And that's a problem that we probably need to work forward to understanding now. So in 100 years, I would hope that all of those things would be better so that I do really like Earth. I would like to stay here. I don't have a desire to go live in a, I don't have a desire to go live in a different world. You know, I actually just watched, was it Mars with, it's not Leonardo DiCaprio, who is it?
Oh, you're talking about The Martian, the one by Andy
The
Weir
Martian,
with
yeah.
Matt
Yeah,
Damon.
that's it. Matt Damon, yes. And just kind of what they, like, I guess I'd never even considered what a different world really meant. But when the ocean just like floods the earth and then like, you know, just the crazy things that could happen given different climates or different atmospheric factors, that's kind of mind-blowing. And before watching that movie, I'd never even considered that it could be so crazy. I'm like, you know, weather's rain. We get snow, you know, it's cold and then it's hot, and like that's weather. But like, you know, what they experienced was like what we consider natural disasters, but every couple hours. So yeah, I don't know. Fun things to think about. So when you ask me what it's going to be like in 100 years, I have no idea.
Now, but you did touch on a couple of things that I thought might be worth mentioning this topic. Did you know that Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, has a space company?
I did not.
Yes.
I don't like Jeff Bezos. I'm not surprised to hear he has a space company, though. He's got a lot of money.
Yeah, he actually thinks his work with the space company are going to be fundamentally more important than what he did with Amazon. And it has a really interesting funding model. He's been selling $1 billion a year of his Amazon stock to fund it, and it's called Blue Origin. And last year, and he's done it several times, but last year he had an event where he kind of outlined his vision. And you may not like Jeff Bezos, but I think you would empathize with his vision. He's like, you know, out of all the places in the solar system, the Earth is like the only place, you know, meant for life. You know, there's like no other place even comes close. And he thinks that we need to use space to move all those earth harming activities off of the earth, you know, the power generation. I mean, you think about it, the sun is a huge nuclear reactor, and only 1/700th billionth of that energy actually hits the earth. So there's like so much potential to capture more of that and use it, you know, for whatever we want to use it for. That's just, you know,
Yeah.
flying off into space. You know,
So
yeah.
I always err on the side of caution. So the only thing that I can think of that really makes me nervous in regards to that is it would be the initiative of keeping the space debris down. You know, if we're gonna move operations out there, that sounds incredibly risky and could completely destroy Earth if we had too much stuff going on out there. But granted, I don't know a whole lot about that either. What was it called? What's his project called again?
His company is called Blue Origin, and they
Blue
have.
Origin.
Mhm. And because like the Earth is blue and it's like the origin of humanity, so like Blue Origin. But I
Hmm.
went to go visit the Kennedy Space Center back when they were launching the astronauts on the SpaceX rocket, and they
Hmm.
have like two huge buildings right outside of the Kennedy Space Visitor Center. Say Blue Origin. It's just like uh, he's not as flashy or out there as Elon Musk. He also doesn't appear to be quite as urgent in terms of trying to do what it is he's doing. But it's a whole nother thing going on.
Wow. Yeah. I can't believe I haven't heard of it actually. I mean, I can, I guess. I don't spend a whole lot of time trying to stay buffed up on things. I just retain what I hear every now and then. But yeah, I do align with that a fair amount because it's kind of like, if I give my kid a cell phone, and my kid breaks his cell phone, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, let's go get you a different cell phone or even a more durable cell phone. I'm going to be like, no, you get what you get. You learn how to take care of it, So Earth is kind of like that. We gotta take care of what we have here. Otherwise, what's going to happen? We're just going to go to Mars and do the same thing there eventually, or, So I'd like to. I do think that the Mars exploration and everything there is very interesting, and I I don't consider myself to be incredibly knowledgeable about any of these things. So if someone as smart as Elon thinks that there is something to be seen there, I'm probably going to be like, cool, can't wait to see what you do. I don't try to be a skeptic about things that I don't have the basic knowledge to be skeptical about. So that's exciting. I'm going to look into Jeff Bezos' little project there. You've given me a couple things to walk away from this conversation with. I'm excited to maybe go invest in this company.
Uh,
Is it privately owned or is it publicly traded?
Blue Origin is privately owned, so he owns it.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
whenever they had their divorce a year ago, he got 100% control of it. So it's kind of the
Yeah.
thing.
He's not stupid. You don't get to where he is by being stupid.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well,
Well, good for
I
him.
know we're just at the hour. I didn't know if you had a few more minutes or if you had to go.
Yeah, sure.
Um, so the other thing is, I was thinking about next year. There's two U.S. companies that are landing probes on the moon as part of a NASA program to land some scientific uh, instruments. And one of them is doing a special with DHL, the package delivery firm. And you could actually, for
Yeah.
about $450, send a micro SD card size thing to the moon. So I was thinking about taking the interviews that I've done and putting them and sending them to the moon. It's just, I don't know if they would ever be playable, with like the heat and the radiation and stuff like that. But uh, yeah,
Huh.
thought that'd be kind of,
That's a really, yeah. I wonder if you're right about that. It'll be worth trying, right? I mean,
it won't hurt,
for the project you're doing, I wouldn't be surprised if someone would like chip in on that. Be like, here, you know what? Let me send your 260-day or how many days? No, this is thousands.
Oh yeah,
Like 1,000 days.
so it's gonna be 1,840 when I'm done with it. Right now I've done like 260. So
Now
uh,
you've done 260. Yeah.
now I've done
Okay.
260. Yeah.
Um, yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if someone was like, "Hey, let me support your work you're doing." And I mean, this is really cool. Are you on Twitter?
I am. Yeah. Gadget Nate.
What is it?
Gadget Nate. I
Gadget Nate.
Yeah. There's so many Nathans out there and Nates. So I'm like Gadget Nate. I have like gadgets like Raspberry Pis and you know Arduinos and all sorts of stuff. So
Gadget Nate. Well, I hope you get some serious attraction for what you're doing. I mean, are you pretty active on here? Yeah.
So. But
Yeah.
um,
You're more active than most people. Most people wouldn't be, have 24-hour feed. I don't have anything. I actually just got on it. That's why I'm like trying to, put everybody that I feel like watching what they have to say is going to be interesting on there.
yeah,
So
I noticed a
yeah, go
friend of
ahead.
mine from a previous company that I used to work with is on Twitter, and so I like follow her, and it gives me that warning saying you can't follow her at this time because your ratio's wrong and you have followed 5,000 people or whatever. And so I didn't think
Huh.
anything of it. But the next thing I know is I get a messenger message from her. She's like, "What are you trying to do? Get banned from Twitter?" Because apparently it shows on her thing as following and unfollowing. So she's been giving me like all sorts of advice on how to get my following followers. So we have to follow each other is the net of it.
Well, okay. I've only added people. I don't think anyone has added me. So you might be my first. I have one follower. It's probably Twitter.
Well, I'll
That's
definitely
funny.
definitely follow you. So, well, I really appreciate your time. Is there anything you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to?
Mm, I honestly, I think we've talked about more than I had in it. Like when I first saw, I was like, oh, he works for Anaplan. Maybe like some kind of. I honestly thought it might be like a bait and switch conversation. I was like, maybe he's like wants to talk about Mars and then wants to talk about software. But I was like, well, I'm not that important. So I don't know, in my organization, I'm just like a salesperson. So I was like, well, probably not. It's probably a conversation about Mars, which it is. So that's good. Um, but no, I think this has been you did a great job interviewing. That's very good. And it's a fun conversation. It's something that for once it's light and I don't have to present an agenda before I have it. So that's really wonderful. Uh,
So thank you so much for
okay,
helping
so
my project.
absolutely. I was happy to have this conversation. It's been a delight.